Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel and welcome back to another live. Where we talk about West Ham. Big up to everyone that is going to jump in at any point in the day. Make sure to like the video as well and make sure to subscribe. We are 22 subscribers away at this current moment from getting to 400 subscribers, and we're trying to hit 500 before the end of the year, as the bottom of the screen says. But yeah, we've actually got some things to talk about. For once, we've got some things to talk about. Just like last year, I am not hearing anything about be patient and all this stuff, even though the start of this transfer window has been way better than last year because we didn't sign anyone at this time last year. But I'm not expecting 11 signings or anything, but I'm expecting for us, with no excuses and with money, to get a fucking move on. I've already sworn for 1 minute in. But yeah, let's get on with, some of the more minor transfer, not even transfer news, just minor headlines. Big up Angelo Ogbonna. Angelo Ogbonna couldn't be more proud of his time at West Ham. It was an immense honour. If I look back, not only do I say that these 9 years have flown by, but I also say that it was an immense honour to play so many games with West Ham. Winning the Conference League was the culmination of something crazy, incredible. Big up Angelo Ogbonna. I won't say legend, but definitely a cult hero. And unfortunate that he got his injury in 2021 because him and Zuma were building something. They were building something together, but he got injured at literally the worst point, and then we had to deal with a Diop-Dawson partnership. And we saw how that happened with Ward Dawson came out of his shell rather than Issa Diop. But let's get on to some transfer news. First one that I can share is this. Jota Silva. We've been linked with this guy for how long? Throughout this window, we've been linked with him for like a month. Always hear his name on a short list. I mean, at first, it was even before Gilherme's name was even brought up. It was Jota Silva and Wesley Gasova. And that was the guy from Brazil who we're still linked with, and Chelsea are linked with, and all that stuff. But West Ham expected to move as price comes down to bargains 10 to 12 million. I don't share rumours. I don't. But I always hear this guy's name brought up. I still don't know who the fuck he is. We might watch a comp of him, though, on today's video. Let me know if you want me to watch a comp of him on this video, because I have no idea who the guy is. I've never watched him in my life. But Vittoria give up on trying to push clubs towards 20 million release clause. I don't think anybody's going to pay that. Clearly, the guy can't be. I don't know. I'm not going to judge him based on not watching the guy and that there's a price tag involved as well. But it can't be that amazing if they're not pushing. They're giving up to push him towards a 20 million release clause, or maybe we're just being cheapskates because we can't spend a certain amount of money on each positions all the time, and maybe we think for the value of the player that it's not going to match up with the quality, etc. No, Jonathan. No. Atletico Madrid can have that. Big up Jonathan as always, though. Let me get on to some more news as well. So let's get on to the main headline of today. The main headline, which is another attacker. We seem to be moving for a lot of attackers, as we should be, because we need a left winger and a striker, especially left wingers that can cut in. And one that was dropped today is exclusive. Well, exclusive. It is an exclusive technically. From Fabrizio Romano, West Ham have submitted initial proposal to Leeds United for Kratzensi of Summerville. Talks took place also on player side, but still not close, considered very expensive. Roma have also included Summerville in their list, but only in case Sule deal doesn't happen. But I mean, apparently he's going Leicester, so I don't think Roma are going to get either player. But also, if it's expensive and there's a certain price that we will need to pay for this certain position, I don't really expect us to pay money for Summerville anyway. I don't, in terms of 40 million or 50 million or whatever it is. He's definitely not worth 40 million, but I get why Leeds would sell him, would put that price up. They don't need to sell anymore. They sold Archie Gray for about 40, and he's the young English guy. For fuck's sake. But I'll take Summerville at West Ham, as we've talked about the wingers we need, the type of wingers we need, and that's a left winger who's right-footed that can cut in. Simple as that. We've been linked with Reece Nelson. We clearly don't even want to pay for Reece Nelson. If you don't want to pay 10 million for Reece Nelson, then then what the fuck? You're not going to pay 40 million for Summerville, are you? But this was also confirmed by ex-West Ham employee. He is 30 million. Listen, I don't think West Ham are even going to pay 30 million for Summerville. Yes, there is truth. This is by ex-West Ham employee. Yes, there is truth that we inquired and spoke to the player via agents, but we have done this with a couple of other wingers this week. And at the moment, this overall package would have to reduce for it to happen. And we know that's not going to happen. So, yeah, Summerville was very direct. He could go around the outside, around the inside, play on both wings. Had a good season in the Championship and probably, was way better than Wilfred Nonto was at Leeds because Wilfred Nonto had his head turned half the time. Obviously, we were interested in Wilfred Nonto as well in January. Also, Everton have been interested in him. I would take either at West Ham. I'll take either of them. But I don't think we're gonna get either of them. In fact, we haven't even been linked with Wilfred Nonto throughout this summer. So we're not linked to every target, and Moyes was also linked with. But I would take Summerville, but obviously, they, as ex-West Ham employees said, they're going to reduce the package and all that stuff. And as I said before, once a left winger does come in, we're probably going to see the back end of Maxwell Cornet. Like, let's be honest, we're probably not going to see Maxwell Cornet get much game time in general, especially with Guilherme, Kudus, and Bowen as the other wingers. Obviously, I know people are putting Kudus and Paquetá as their left winger like lineup sort of things, but that's not going to happen. I don't think Kudus is going to play left wing. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Let me get on to this as well. This is another minor headline, quite literally, because we're talking about a child. Lewis Orford is pretty much a child. Good article on Lewis Orford in today's Mirror. Lewis Orford is already making headlines throughout the media, newspapers, and stuff. And we're hoping that this guy is going to get a new contract. That we're actually going to give him a new contract. That we're actually going to, offer him a new deal and not let him slip under our radar. There's another youth player that we can't afford to really let go. It's one of the players that is also looked towards maybe approaching the first team next after Earthy, after Casey, and not even Casey. Casey won't make the first team, but after Earthy, after George Earthy, we're looking at him next. We're looking at, because Earthy, and Kelly were the Youth Cup winning midfield. Obviously, we discussed Lewis Orford before. Like, if Orford, Irving, or Potts could be a solution towards the midfield, we won't need to sign a midfielder. Obviously, this also depends on the profile of midfielder as well, because we're looking at number 6s and 8s. We need both, pretty much. Unfortunately, the Czech boys, Thomas Souček and Gallagher, are both... I just said Gallagher. It's because of fucking... You Chelsea fans keep putting... Because Gallagher and Souček are the same fucking player. Souček and Soufal are unfortunately back in West Ham's fucking pre-season. But listen, if they could be a solution to our midfield, that would be great. We discussed this yesterday as well. Like, you need players that can control games, especially within this starting 11. Big up Wasim as well, another regular. Hey, Mikes, I think we need to make some signings. Time's running out. I don't even think time's running out. I just think that at this point, we signed Kilman a few weeks ago, and I'm just thinking we've got a lot of positions to address, so we do need to get a fucking move on. I don't even think time's running out. I do think it would be nice to sign players within pre-season and before pre-season games and before the season starts. That would be ideal, and that is what I would prefer, obviously. My only thing is that right back and striker need to be signed now, and left winger and midfielder need to be looked at later. If you're going to look at any position later, it needs to be left winger, midfield later. Right back and striker needs to be the priority now. Like, our next two signings need to be right back and striker. It needs to be, probably a Duran. Duran seems to be the only guy that we're really going for. Duran and what it looks like to be a Wan-Bissaka, who we're going to get onto now as well. We're going to get onto this one as well because, as I said, striker and right back. I would be content if the last two signings are striker and right back. Even though we need more signings, I would be content. However, I would still not rate the transfer window above an 8. I would rate it probably 7 or below, 7 or 6. That's me being content. And also, I've addressed we needed position before. Like, even when Ben Johnson and Soufal were both here last season, I said we needed a right back. This is obviously by Florian Plettenberg. You got to take this guy's words with a pinch of salt, but they have they do seem to be confirmed by the likes of ex-West Ham employees. So apparently, ex-West Ham employee was saying that there's like this almost a tactical deal. So I think what he means by that is, for example, we've put out there that we're interested in Mazraoui. And that is tactical because Man United are also interested in Mazraoui. But this would also lead for Man United to be like, please take Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's on 1 year left, and you're the main club interested, and 10 million and all that stuff as well. So that does play a part. And I feel like this guy is almost a decoy link. I feel like this guy could only become an actual link towards this team if all of our other targets fall through. Like, we do have other targets. Apparently, we are interested in other right backs as well, but nobody wants to name them because of the two right backs that we already want, which is Kyle Walker-Peters and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And I'm starting to get a bit sick of hearing about West Ham are still interested. West Ham are monitoring and all this stuff, specifically with the right back situation as well. Being as they're both on a 1 year left, this should be easier than the normal transfer deal. Now, as it says here, Manchester United and West Ham are exploring deal to sign Mazraoui. First concrete talks took place. Excuse me. Mazraoui is at the top of the list for both clubs and is keen to play Premier League. The 26-year-old right back can leave Bayern Munich now. Originally, they demanded 30 million euros. That's not happening. If it was 30 million, we are not spending that on Mazraoui. However, the market does not support this amount. Now, Bayern are pushing to get 20 to 25. I think that's a max that we'd spend on a right back. I think 25 million is the ultimate maximum that you can see us spend on a right back. And understandable, because this is a big rebuild in general, and I know we're not going to get everything done. I know we're not going to spend a huge amount on players anyway, in terms of a huge amount on each position. Obviously, we don't have a limited budget, so that's fine. I don't believe on this scattergun approach. This seems to be the phrase of the window. A bit like 2 years ago with the whole Phantom bids, even though we got 8 signings done where we needed to. We just had the wrong coach for them. But the 26-year-old right back can leave Bayern Munich now. Yep. Most realistic price is 15 to 20 all in. Now, knowing West Ham, they'll probably bid, 12 million plus 3 million add-ons or some shit. That's what they'll try and do if they was to try and get Mazraoui. But realistically, if this puts the whole situation to what the rumor is about Wan-Bissaka going for 10 million, then you get Wan-Bissaka for 10 million because that is a bargain. Even I don't completely rate the player, but come on. Then Darmesh also put his hat into the things. West Ham in talks with Bayern Munich over signing of right back Mazraoui, Morocco international, into 2 final years of his contract. Interest retained in Southampton's Kyle Walker-Peters and Manchester United's Aaron Wan-Bissaka first call by Plettenberg and all that. So even Darmesh is putting his hat into the mix, and he usually reports on what ex-West Ham employee reports. But we had another Plettenberg tweet, and this was about Wan-Bissaka. So this pretty much leads on to the part 2 of Mazraoui and Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka, a key for possible deal with Mazraoui for Manchester United and West Ham. Man United seriously considering to replace Wan-Bissaka with Mazraoui. Therefore, they have lowered their demand for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, demand 10 million now. West Ham considering to push for Wan-Bissaka if a transfer from Mazraoui should not work out. Now, this is why I think Mazraoui deal is a decoy. And I also think that Manchester United are just putting out there, just come and get him. We need to sell him. And they're going to take a big loss on that transfer front, but it's not like Wan-Bissaka's stocks have gone up. And it's very rare to actually upgrade from Man United, even though Man United have been very poor over the years. But it's very rare that they sell a player and they go on to a bigger club, unless it's like Juventus, that probably not even bigger than them. But yeah, I reckon we'll probably get Wan-Bissaka, if I'm honest. But the only thing is that the wages that people are putting out there apparently are lower than they're actually saying. Apparently he's on 90k or some shit, or even higher, 100 and something k, which isn't the worst in the world, but we don't really have a bunch of players on 100k a week. I'm pretty sure it's just Paquetá, Curtis Bowen that are on similar amounts or just below amounts or whatever. But we can't go overboard with the budget. I'm assuming that Wan-Bissaka is going to take a wage cut. He's going to have to. And if you want to play, you take a wage cut. Simple as that, especially when you're almost downgraded in terms of size of club as well. Now this Wan-Bissaka thing even needs to just get done immediately, because we need a right back. As simple as that. Because this whole Kyle Walker-Peters thing we've been completely finessed for, even though Kyle Walker-Peters was left out of Southampton's pre-season tour, and apparently there's been a lot of transfer speculation anyway. But I have a feeling that it's actually going to be easier now for a different Premier League club to then go and get Kyle Walker-Peters. And the reason why I say that is because there's been other clubs interested in him before. Now, it was touted that Brighton were interested as well. But also, there's going to be, if West Ham get a right back, the agents are going to just offer clubs Kyle Walker-Peters 1 year left at a very cheap deal. And it's going to be a good deal for any club that gets him. And if a club doesn't get him, then there's going to be so many clubs trying to get him on a free. Now, in an ideal world, we get Wan-Bissaka now, and we get Walker-Peters for free next summer. But just because Walker-Peters and Wan-Bissaka go for a free next summer doesn't mean we're going to be the only club involved. Other clubs are going to see, well, we can literally get him for free, and they're going to go in for him. But it's going to be even more competition because of how cheap the deal actually is. But I don't believe that necessarily we're going to go in for Mazraoui. I don't believe he's really much of a target at all. I believe it's more of a Man United target. But I believe that could only really happen if West Ham go in for Wan-Bissaka. So it's a bit of a circle with Wan-Bissaka, Mazraoui, Manchester United and West Ham. This is the thing as well. Let me go to ex-West Ham employee who also tweeted about the situation. So after Pletigo tweeted about Mazraoui, someone tagged ex-West Ham employee, and he said this. Let me share my screen again. He said, yes, truth, although the key here is Manchester United's interest. I'll explain more in an update either tonight or tomorrow, so the Patreons will get an exclusive for that. And then he said, and there we have it, but more to come later. So he's clearly spoken to someone. Clearly something's going on, and it would be nice to see some movement. And Wan-Bissaka key for a possible deal. Yeah, we've read all of this. But the fact that ex-West Ham employee said there's more to come, then yeah, pick up to call Jam Gaber. Is a right back the most important position to sign off the striker? Do you think? Yeah, probably, because we've only got one right back at this current moment in time, especially with Ben Johnson leaving on a free. Vladimir Sufar's our only right back. Obviously, we've got youngsters such as Junior Robinson. He's nowhere near the first team, even though Lopetegui seems to get along with everyone in training and everyone in the first team and stuff. But even in pre-season, we've had Patrick Kelly play right wing back, and we've had Gideon Kadoa, who's a winger, who's a youngster winger, play right back as well. So he clearly doesn't even trust Junior Robinson to even play these pre-season games against Ferencvaros and Dagenham and Redbridge. Vladimir Sufar is back, so we have one recognised right back for the pre-season games. And even then, if Vladimir Sufar wasn't to play, Mavropanos can play right back, but it's whether Lopetegui would like to switch up and play Mavropanos in almost a back three in possession, play someone that hugs the touchline on the right, etc. The reason why I don't think Mavropanos is going to play right back as much is because I'm pretty sure Lopetegui has looked at the squad and be like, okay, Max Kilman and Mavropanos are going to be my main centre-back partnership for not only the tour, but for the Premier League. But let's just carry on talking, to be honest. We've got some more things to get into, but obviously the Duran talks continue as well. And we need to just get this done immediately. We need to just get this done. Whether I like the player or not, we just need to get it done. It was literally 2 weeks ago, nearly 2 weeks ago, when the whole Fabrizio thing came out about West Ham are close to agreeing a deal for John Duran. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't sold at first, but listen, we're pretty much buying potential. We're pretty much buying a guy who can strike the ball really well and stuff. And we've discussed Duran a lot before. We even watched a comp of him a couple of weeks ago as well. But we need to just get it done. We need to get it done. We need to stop faffing around and trying to go around the price, etc. And the fact that we don't want to pay 10 million for Reece Nelson, but we want to pay over 30 million for Duran, I don't know what's going on. Because it's not like Reece Nelson is some scrub or anything. But with Duran, they signed Cameron Archer as they re-signed Cameron Archer. They brought him back from Sheffield United as the backup striker. So the guy who's going to be competing with Ollie Watkins is going to be Cameron Archer. It's not like he's gone back to Aston Villa just to go back into the academy again. And they made that easy to trigger a deal. They were interested in Kelechi Iheanacho as well on a free. They haven't pursued that either. I would only take Iheanacho if Danny Ings was to go and we get Iheanacho as a third choice striker. That would be very uninspiring if we was to go after Iheanacho, even though we're not linked. But we need to get this done. Like, strikers literally, like, how many times do we have to say this, like every 2 or 3 years at West Ham United, where we think, who do we need this time? And there's always striker as the priority position. Like, I will do a video probably on the West Ham striker curse, almost, about how we haven't really replaced, anyone out at this club when it comes to strikers. And some strikers have done good but have had injury problems. Some strikers just haven't fit the system. Some strikers were just not good enough at the club. And some strikers just had certain circumstances. But we've had a mess when it comes to strikers. It's almost like you give up in hope when it comes to having a striker, wanting a striker to succeed at West Ham. I literally bought into the Skamaka stocks way too early that I have a shirt with Skamaka on the back. It's the whole black shirt, it's the black shirt from 2 years ago. And yeah, that's an L for me. So if anyone wants a Skamaka West Ham shirt, let me know. I will give it to you for free. Honestly, I will give the shirt to you for free. But with this whole John Duran thing, like the Duran talks have continued as I put in the title, but Enner Valencia was never truly replaced. Enner Valencia, like, pretty much got too much hate in that 16-17 season. He was played on a fucking touchline by Slaven Bilic on the left. When he played in the two up front under Allardyce, he did quite well with Diafra Sakho. But Enner Valencia, honestly, he was quite average overall, but better than some of the shit I've seen. But obviously, Lopetegui seems to have lifted the place quite a lot when it comes to just the general atmosphere of this club. And another quote from ex-West Ham employee posted by East London Hammers. The players are said to be buzzing to working under Lopetegui. We understand he gets on very well with the players. Well, I'd hope so. He's only just been there. He's building a real togetherness in the group, and his playing style is said to be one that they are all really responding to well. Well, you'd hope so. Especially in the pre-season, you can already see that the players just having fun playing football, passing the ball around, actually showing for the ball and linking up with each other, passing 5 yards and not losing the ball. Must be nice, because we didn't have that for the past 3 years. Well, actually, we haven't even had that since I've been watching West Ham United, if I'm being completely honest. It's probably going to be the best football I've seen at West Ham. And yes, the bar is low when I'm talking about the general bigger picture of the football that I'm going to see at West Ham. I'm not even just wishing for, like, good football or anything for the sake of it. It's just the fact that to get the best out of our players now, you've got to play this kind of football because most of our talents are attacking. But in general as well, like, I'm not trying to see good football for the sake of it. I'm trying to see us go back to being competitive. Maybe not this season, but next season. We should be trying to get back into the top 8 anyway. There's not really much of an excuse, but I'm not going to pin all the expectations on the first season because I know how hard it is to rebuild this whole team with a whole new style of play and pretty much a rebuild, integrate probably by the end of it, you'd hope about 5 or 6 players into the squad. And everyone's going to have to re-gel with each other. And maybe with a little bit of coaching, we could get back up there. But it's going to take a year maybe. We're going to have bumps in the road next season, but if I can see that there's something to believe in, I will believe in it. But I will call things out if I need to. Like, simple as that. But it's good to see that there's a togetherness around the group. And it seems that even like the youngsters are gaining a really big relationship with Lopetegui as well. It seems as if like they're giving them more hope to actually think, okay, I'm going to take my opportunity to play under this manager to see if I can take my breakthrough opportunity to get into the first team. Now, Lewis Orford took a shot at Moyes by saying that he was going to not get his debut last season, and Casey and Earthy did. He was very happy for them and stuff like that. But he said it's good to have a new manager and whatever. I'm kind of twisting his words a bit, but I don't really think it was much of a shot at David Moyes, to be fair. I think it was just a general statement. But listen, I don't really care about David Moyes at this point. He's not at my club anymore. I'm just hoping for the new project to succeed and all of that good stuff. But also another link. I'm going to try and translate the post. Yeah, I've not heard of this guy. I think I did watch him in Copa America. Obviously, you guys saw me. Some of you guys would have seen me on Joey's streams watching the Copa America. But this, I think, Colombian journalist, and this is the English translation. The future of Richard Rios, the Colombian, is beginning to awaken interest in the Premier League. Manchester United, Chelsea, and West Ham would be in his footsteps. Where would you like to see it? Now let's see if all of that is true. Like, we don't know if that's true. We don't even know if that's a reliable source. We have seen Manchester United linked with him. I think the guy's a midfielder. I think he was the guy who was playing alongside Jefferson Lerma. I didn't really see much like outstanding attributes throughout the few Colombian games I actually watched. I saw more out of Jefferson Lerma, if I'm being completely honest. He's been quite an underrated player over the years. But he's linked with Man United, and if he's linked with Man United and Chelsea, and they actually want to pursue him, I don't think Chelsea are going to go after another midfielder. I don't think they need to, unless this whole Enzo Fernandez thing does end up in him actually leaving the club or whatever, which I don't think will happen. And I don't think they can really afford to have happen. And I think all of that situation is going to blow over quite quickly. I don't think they're going to go after another midfielder, but I believe Man United should be going after another midfielder. So that could affect us when it comes to this. This is unrelated, but what chance do you give Ipswich to stay up, keeping McKenna and signing Amari Hutchinson and Amon? I nearly got trolled. I nearly said it. Do you know what it is? I thought that was a player. I thought that was someone. That was, if you didn't get it, that was Among Us, but just a fucking player. Oh man. But if you actually want me to, I'm going to answer the question anyway. I actually think Ipswich and Southampton will both stay up next season. I believe Southampton and Ipswich are actually moving correctly when it comes to promoted teams actually wanting to have the ambition to stay up. Like Amari Hutchinson, Jacob Greaves, obviously, yeah, keeping Kieran McKenna. I don't really get the Liam Delap signing, but I think they're signing Muric as well, the goalkeeper from Burnley. I know he made a couple of mistakes, but I believe under this style of football, I know it is also possession style of football played out from the back, etc., but it's also less risky than it is playing under Vincent Kompany's Burnley, where they pretty much had like under 21s players playing from that were all in their first season of playing in the Premier League. Also, they signed about 60 wingers. But I think Ipswich will stay up. I think if you actually stick with a lot of the players that you did within the Championship and play the same style of football and take that same confidence in, but add a couple players, then you'll be fine. That's how Brentford stayed up. And Brentford had, Tony and Mbeumo in the Championship. They had Ethan Pinnock in the Championship, who's been good in the Premier League. Pretty sure Norgard was there. Like a lot of Brentford's players aren't fashionable names. They're just very smart players, which is kind of similar with what Ipswich could be like. You might see a great season from someone like a Cameron Humphreys, someone like a Wes Burns, for example, someone like a Harry Clark. Obviously, I forget Ipswich signed Ben Johnson as well, but I don't rate him. I can see them being like Luton spirited and show flashes, but won't have enough. Yeah, that's fair. I think it's obviously they're going to be down there, but I think Ipswich will stay up. I think Ipswich and Southampton are both going to stay up. And going on to Southampton, like obviously they signed Flynn Downs from us. Obviously Russell Martin has a fetish for Flynn Downs, and Flynn Downs was very key to Southampton last season. They pretty much looked like a whole different team without him in the Championship, and they needed a proper number 6. And Shea Charles, who was signed from the City Academy, isn't the right level right now to make the step up to the Premier League, in my opinion. The only thing the problem is with Southampton is their striker situation. Obviously, Shea Adams has been released. He's gone on a free. He's gone to Torino. Adam Armstrong is their main striker who, yes, it does well in the Championship, but the whole reason why Southampton signed him was because he did well in the Championship, and that never translated into the Premier League. Maybe with a different style of football that isn't Ralph Hasenhüttl and the terrorist that is Nathan Jones and whatever Ruben Sellers was, maybe they'll be different under Russell Martin. I think they're going to go to more of a 5-3-2 that I've been hearing. Obviously, Russell Martin would play a variation of a 4-3-3 and a 5-3-2, or switch between formations and stuff like that. They've still got a lot of Premier League experienced players that played in the league last season, the season they got relegated, but a lot of them aren't good enough with the Jack Stevens and Jan Bednarek players. Like, I think Jan Bednarek's a terrible player. I'm surprised they still got Bella Koch up as well. Big up to Lee. Hi, mate. Is it true, Summerville? Is he going to West Ham? Well, I don't think we're going to get him, mate. The reason why I don't think we're going to get him is because they want a hefty fee for him. But it is true that we're interested. It remains to be seen whether we're actually going to go back in for him. But from what it's being said, that Leeds are going to charge a lot for him because they don't need to sell him, and he's a valuable asset. He's probably the most valuable asset at Leeds right now due to the fact that Archie Gray has left. Obviously, Archie Gray went for 40 million as well, and because of that 40 million that Tottenham got for Archie Gray, they don't need to sell, so they can put a price on the Pascal Strux, put a price on the Nontos and stuff. What's the latest on John Duran, Mike's? Last I heard, he wants to force a move. I heard this from a Villa reporter. If I have the report bookmarked, I talked a little bit about John Duran earlier. It was by James Nursey. I don't know if this guy is reliable or not, but I'm going to share my screen anyway. Expecting John Duran to this week tell Aston Villa he wants to move to West Ham. Villa asking for 40 million. Hammer's getting close after 3 bids. Chelsea and Newcastle also interested in striker, but Duran wants to play for fellow Spanish speaker Lopetegui, who can offer first team football. So a bit like this Scott guy actually makes a good point. Fellow Spanish speak. What language does Emery speak? It's a good point. It's a good point, but I don't know if that's reliable or not. Like, I don't think Newcastle are going to bid 40 million for Duran. I believe that Duran wants to play for West Ham rather than Newcastle. That's what I'm guessing from the reports. I believe Newcastle is like, is that what we signed again and Areola, and Newcastle were interested as well? I think it's all of that nonsense. But also the Duran deal, like we should have got done last week if we were close to agreeing a price, but both clubs wanted to move the goalposts. I think we're probably going to move in the next 2 weeks for him because otherwise, what is the fucking point? Honestly, James, I'm starting to get slightly impatient. We're seeing big up. We're seeing again. We need to make the striker signing first. I do agree, and then left wing and right back / right wing back. But the teams in the US for 2 weeks. Yeah, they are in the US for 2 weeks, but it doesn't stop. The likes of Steiner getting a deal done and calling Lopetegui and stuff. Like everyone's on preseason. Pretty much every Premier League team is in the US. Chelsea, I'm pretty sure, in the US. Bournemouth, Liverpool, Arsenal. I'm pretty sure they're in the US. Like obviously, Wolves and Palace are also in the US. We're going to be playing them. It's a fucking moth flying near me, bruv. But I think we should make the striker signing first, and then probably a right back, then a left winger, because those are the striker and right back for me are the 2 priorities. Left winger, yes, of course, but those 2 first. We literally have 1 right back and 1 competent striker. We don't know what Danny Ings is going to bring. Apparently, Danny Ings was dropping too deep and dropping in midfield positions, a bit like Kane was in the Euros. Apparently, what people were telling me in the comments against Dagenham and Redbridge friendly. If you guys did watch the Dagenham and Redbridge friendly, I was out, so let me know what you guys saw in terms of positives and negatives, etc. But that's the thing with the striker situation. Obviously, we're here every 2 or 3 years when it comes to West Ham, but we need to get this done. We need to get the Duran deal done. He was never going to be with us in preseason anyway, due to the fact that he was in the Copa America. He was on the bench, but he was in the Copa America. And you never know with consistent first team football. I will get behind the signing. We just need to get the signing done so I can see what this squad is going to be like with the new manager in his first season, first trying to integrate his style of play. But yeah, obviously we're interested in Summerville, we're interested in Tamori, we're interested in Duran. I don't think he is. The reason why I don't think he is because he's only just started here. Like if this was like the Wolves situation where we were like 6 months in, I think he'd be getting more frustrated. But I think the reason why he's moved there in the first place is because we know we have money, and I actually trust our director of football to get this rebuild done. But it's just we are moving slow. But I believe if he thinks he's going to get the players he wants or get to spend the money that he wants, then he's here. You know what I mean? Like that's the reason why he's here in the first place. But yes, only 5 weeks left transfer window. The thing is, I will say that barely anyone has signed as well. And I'm going to use that same argument that people used it against me for last season. Like barely anyone has signed anyone. But I'm with you. Like I want us to move a lot quicker, especially for the specific positions that we need, and because of how important this rebuild is. Like especially again at striker and right back. For example, if we get Wan-Bissaka and Duran done, I don't like either player really that much, but I will get behind the deals and I'll see how it looks under Lopetegui because I'm going to trust the new project. If I don't, and if they don't work out, I will say something. I'm expecting more instant results from an Aaron Wan-Bissaka as he's played first team football quite a lot in the Premier League, and he's an older player. With John Duran, I'm going to give him his first season, even though he's already been in the Premier League. If he signs for West Ham, I'll give him his first season because he didn't really play much. Like, he didn't start many games for Aston Villa. He didn't start week in, week out. So if he's going to start week in, week out for West Ham, I'll give him a chance anyway. Even if he doesn't, I'll still give him a chance. Like, Lopetegui likes Antonio as well. So you're still going to see Antonio play. It's just Antonio doesn't need to start week in, week out. Now will actually be decent competition. Duran, Ings, and Antonio, I'm fine with that. Listen, I would prefer Danny Ings to leave, but listen, under a new manager, we'll give him another chance. Obviously, I think he works better in a 2 up front, but Lopetegui doesn't play a 2 up front, so I don't really know why Danny Ings would want to stay. But I think it's mainly because of the wages and the fact that because he's an older guy, he thinks whatever contract next I'm going to get is going to be my last big contract. That he thinks that staying at West Ham is the best way to do it because of the fact he's going to get like 100. He's still getting like 100k a week or whatever the fuck it is. Something ridiculous. Something that we shouldn't be paying him and deciding that we shouldn't have made. Not to his fault necessarily, but due to the fact that David Moyes wanted a Premier League experienced striker, even though he didn't really know how to use Skamaka. So I don't really know how he wanted to use Danny Ings at the time. But nevertheless, we are under a different manager, so I'll try my best to not speak about David Moyes, but that's the only other comparison I can make because that's literally the last manager we had. But obviously, the striker situation, I don't like. We need to get another reason why we need to get this Duran deal done as well is because we're not really in for any other striker. Like, we're interested in Ivan Toney, we're interested in Jonathan David, but we're not going in for them because Ivan Toney would ask for a lot in terms of wages. And also, Jonathan David has a lot of clubs after him. Like, literally, like, a lot of Ligue 1 clubs, for example, would want Jonathan David. A lot of Premier League clubs probably would as well. There's a lot of clubs in for him. I've only watched him once, and he didn't even get the ball, so I can't really judge him. And I was Argentina-Canada game. If you guys watched that Argentina-Canada game in the Copa America, Canada barely had the ball. They were terrible. So I couldn't really judge him. But from what people have told me that actually watch Liga, I'm sold. I'm sold on him. But obviously, I'll take everything with a pinch of salt. I'd also give him his first season, as this would be his first time stepping into the Premier League as well. But also, with Ivan Toney, that would literally be perfect in my opinion. I'd understand why people wouldn't want to spend that amount of money on a 28-year-old or 27-year-old or whatever, but I still think you get 3 or 4 years out of him. I also believe he's literally perfect for what Lopetegui wants to do. But also, he's still one of the best strikers in the league, in my opinion. The reason why I think that is because when you look at Ivan Toney last season, he had like 2 games of his own sort of pre-season to warm him up to then get him into the Premier League. It's not a proper pre-season to be integrated within the first team against a struggling Brentford side who were not getting their attackers any service anyway, and also had an injury-ridden Brentford side as well. I believe that he'd be a great signing for anyone. I'd still believe that. Now, it seems to be West Ham and Tottenham the only real 2 teams that are interested, but Tottenham also I don't think they're actually going to sign a striker. I don't even know who Tottenham are after right now. So forget them lot, but and I think Ivan Toney might go on a free to someone. I generally believe that. I believe Brentford probably fumbled the bag a little bit on that one because he's now on 1 year left. And also, like, other clubs are going to be sniffing around him the closer he gets to January and stuff. He can even sign a pre-contract with someone big in Europe. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll stay in the Prem. But more the Premier League clubs that didn't want to spend any money on Ivan Toney and that dropped their interest in the first place due to the whole price tag thing and maybe other stuff as well due to the whole betting stuff as well, are going to come back in once there's 6 months left on the deal. Once there's 4 months left on the deal, they're going to sign he's going to sign a pre-contract with someone. Like, that is going to happen. And it probably won't be us because he's going to want big wages anyway. And he wants big wages now because this will be his last big contract. And he's in a similar position with Danny Ings, but just a few years younger, where he feels like, if I get this last 4 year, this is going to be like the last 4 year, 5 year contract of my career. I'm not going to sign it with Brentford. I'm going to sign it with a club that's somewhat of an upgrade. Even though we weren't great last season, we were better than Brentford as they were slightly in a relegation battle. They weren't like awful enough to be where Forest were or whatever, but they were slightly in a relegation battle. However, it would still be an upgrade to come to West Ham United. But it's whether he'd want to as well, because he was probably wishing for a bigger move. But to come to us, that would be a fantastic move for us more than him, because we need a striker. We need someone that can hold up the ball. We need someone that's great in the air. We need someone that can link up play. You'd see one of the most deadly attacks in the whole league. In the whole league, if you brought Ivan Toney in. Also depending on the left winger as well, but let's say even if it was a Guilherme, Toney, Bowen front three, Kudus in behind, Paquetá and Alvarez in the midfield, or Alvarez and God forbid and Andy Irving if he actually does fucking impress, or Ward Prowse, even if some people don't like him. Like that would be a dangerous team regardless. We'd keep the ball well. We'd be good in possession. I heard we're interested in Tomori as well, but what position does he play? He played for Chelsea a few years ago. He plays centre back. So, but that's the thing. Like, again, it would be 30, 40 million. So we probably wouldn't get him. But it also seems to be one of them targets where, like, okay, all of our other targets haven't worked, and we've sold again on Zuma. Let's go in for him. I believe we're going to be trying to go after the Salzburg centre back if again Zuma was to go, just because the guy is 15 million. The Sole guy that's worth like 15 million apparently, or he's going for 15 million if we was to get him. But Tomori, I don't think is going to come to West Ham, but he would be. Him and Toney would be the dream signings of the window in terms of the links that we have in this window. Like, in terms of like semi-unrealistic options, those would be the dream signings. I've wanted Tomori. I've rated Tomori and Ivan Toney for years. Those would be the dream ones. Like, I don't think Aged or Zuma are going to go anywhere though. Like, I think there for Aged, for example, he might impress in preseason as much as I don't rate him. Kurt Zuma was left with 2 ice packs on his knees. He needs to leave, or he stays and his 4th choice. I can't believe I'm saying this, but again, probably has to be above him, just purely on the fact that he can stay fit, that he can actually play football. Kurt Zuma cannot play football physically because he's Kurt Zuma. He's going to get injured. I don't know if there's an actual bet that you can put on betting websites where you can actually see how many injuries Kurt Zuma would get this season, but I'd take a punt on a £1 bet that you get like 5 injuries or some shit throughout the season, or 3 injuries. I think his knees are only getting worse, and that's why I think last year was pretty much my last straw, because he even had the ability to keep the ball quite well, to come out with the ball and do some stuff. It just looked wrong because of how stiff he was and how unbalanced he looked. But from now, like from, I would say the Bristol City game where we lost, he looked gone. He looked like he was running in quicksand all the time. Have you got the new home kit yet? Big up, Carl. It's over there. Right there. Right now. I wore it on my stream a couple, like 5 days ago. But yeah, I got it for my birthday last week. So, well, it was a gift. I didn't buy it. But I really like the new home kit. I can't lie. Like, I think it's probably our best in years. I really like it. I really like the way the badge looks, the light blue badge on the claret shirt. Like, it's a shame about obviously the sleeve sponsor. Don't get me wrong, but like in general, I really like it. In general, I really like the home kit. I feel like for a home kit like that it could set up to be for a special season. That's one of them kits where you look at the season and you're like, we could do something special with this kit. It's one of them kits. I'm looking forward to see what the 3rd kit is going to be like. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a white kit or some shit. But the black kit's nice. I think the badge also makes the black kit, like, Umbro switched up their badge things, but also the way the sponsor is on the thing. It's like the little dot within the sponsor. But I think they're doing that for all kits that they're sponsoring, like all the teams they're sponsoring. So I really like what they've done with that. I don't think Umbro is actually that bad as people say. It just would be nice if we had like an Adidas, because I think Adidas could put some whole new other potential in the kits that we make. Like as I said, the badges, the blue badge on the home kit and the claret, the way the claret suits the black on the away kit as well. They're just really nice kits. They're really nice kits. I'm probably not going to buy the black kit. Mainly because I don't want to, and also I have enough black West Ham kits or dark West Ham kits, so I don't really need another one. To be completely honest with you, then again, I don't need another claret one, but they all look different every year. We're not like it's like Tottenham have the same white kit every year. Name me a different Tottenham home kit. You can't. They haven't done one since they used to have the yellow fucking stripes on the white shirt. Now that was like 12 years ago. Like they don't like unless they put a bit of dark blue on their shirt, you can't make a different Tottenham shirt. Yeah, you just have to experiment with the away kits. At least with Fulham, they put a bit of black or red on their kit. Like Brentford do their kit every 2 years, like how it used to be like before my time. Um, like Liverpool's kit looks the same pretty much every year. But I think we can do a bit more with claret and blue, and that's what we've done. Like if you look at the kits, like obviously this shirt is a retro shirt, and this shirt was a couple of years ago. This shirt is this season's. The bottom shirt that's last season's with the bubbles on it, and this is obviously the away kit. And we actually do switch up our kits quite a bit, and I kind of wish I bought that blue and white kit without the sponsor because I think it looked really sick, and I also want the OG shirt that it's based off. And I do need to buy more retro West Ham kits because I'm a big fan of some of the old white kits, some of the old claret and blue kits. Like the fact that I even got that Dagenham Motor shirt, I wear that shirt all the time. Like that's probably the home kit that I wear the most. And I wasn't even about this time when we was wearing that kit. But I need to buy more West Ham retro kits. I just don't know how I can get my hands on them. I probably need to go to more West Ham stores. There's one in Bromford, so I might go to that one when I'm out in Bromford and stuff like that. But I'm gonna see what they have in terms of the retro kits because there's even retro kits in these shops that you can't even get. Like, I mean, there's retro kits that are not even in these shops, so you got to go online and try and get them. Like, I need me some more retro West Ham kits because some of them look absolutely lovely, and I've got too many West Ham shirts. Don't get me wrong, but they take up half my wardrobe. But I don't care, man. I don't care. I'm gonna see if there's any more news. But at this current moment, I think we've talked about everything. Let me know let me know if there's anything more that you guys want me to talk about. Obviously, leave your questions in the chat. This is a whole West Ham news show. I forgot to leave that banner up. So if you do want to ask any questions about West Ham and what I think, then put it in the comments. But obviously, we talked about Summerville. Like if you missed out on anything, we have talked about Summerville, talked about John Duran, Walker Peters, Mazraoui, Carl, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, etc. as well. Obviously, also, as we see from the new West Ham video, Mikel Antonio, Thomas Souček, and Vladimir Coufal are all back. They are back from international duty. So they will be joining. They have joined the US preseason. So they will probably feature in the Wolves and Crystal Palace games. And also the Betway Cup, of course. They would have been back by then anyway. So we'll probably see Bowen by then. But they will feature, and then Lopetegui's going to be like, what do I do with this lamppost midfielder that can't pass the ball? Probably sell him. Vladimir Coufal, the guy can't run up and down anymore. I don't think he's going to get the best out of Vladimir Coufal. If I'm being completely honest, that's why I'm so adamant on the right back anyway. But also Mikel Antonio, he can still play a part. Definitely can still play a part. Lopetegui likes him as well. And we saw we needed an outlet last season, and in a few games that we actually performed well in 2024 last season, it was because of Mikel Antonio. It was either him or Kudus or Bowen. But he was an actual outlet that would actually test defenders, and he can still play a part. He just doesn't need to play week in, week out anymore. Like we've discussed this before. But looking in general, do you know when Paquetá joins the squad? I don't think he will join the squad in USA because he'll still be on his break, and because he went deep into the Copa America, I think he's going to join around when the Betway Cup starts. So the Celta Vigo game. Speaking of the Betway Cup, I might as well touch on this as well. I think that apparently the tickets have barely sold out in a Betway Cup game because people are protesting. Now, I can't lie to you guys. I am going to be at the game. I didn't protest. I'm going to be at the game. But it's because I missed out on the Dagenham and Redbridge friendly. I wanted to go to a pre-season game. Simple as that. But I completely understand why people wouldn't want to go to the game. Apparently there's going to be 2 stands that are not even going to be filled. And the club pretty much know that. So they're not even going to even put them up. But it'll pretty much be away fans and a big set of West Ham fans, and that's it. I say big set, like a section of West Ham fans. but no one's really gonna go to the game. It does kind of worry me to see if there's barely going to be any crowd for the Premier League games, but I do believe that because of the positivity of what people are seeing, like that's involving stuff on the pitch, that they're still going to go to Premier League games. I do hope people go to the games, but I understand why people wouldn't because of the whole prices thing. Like the prices are ridiculous. And listen, I understand why people are protesting. Don't get me wrong. I just think we're that much of a loyal bunch that we're going to eventually go anyway. Unfortunately, and the club are going to take advantage of us as they always have, especially with this ownership in charge. Especially the ownership don't get involved in transfers anymore. The ownership still chat a lot of shit off the pitch and do a load of stuff that we don't agree with. That's why I can't wait to see them gone. But Karen Brady, unfortunately, ain't going anytime soon. But she's probably worse than Sullivan, if I'm being completely honest. And Sullivan's bad, but I think she's even worse. We need people to speak out on this that are like ex-legends with power at the club. Unfortunately, like I know people are tagging Colton Cole, but Colton Cole works for the club. He's not going to lose his job. He's the loan manager. He's not even going to lose his job. Apparently, you can watch the West Ham and Crystal Palace, Wolves and Crystal Palace games on what is called the Sunshine Tour in Florida for £8. It's not bad. Watch both games for £8. Honestly, it's better than most of the deals that they put up recently. So apparently, it's both of they both will be available to watch worldwide on West Ham TV via WestHamUnitedFC.com or a mobile pass. Okay, so announcement: you're getting a watch along this Saturday. I think I can't. Oh, fuck's sake. I just got a funny text. But this time. Genuine question this time. Any concerns about the squad playing in America? Last season, the shit pitches caused knee injuries and they don't look much better. I saw the Wrexham Bournemouth match, like the pitch on that game, and it didn't look great. I don't know what these pitches are like. I don't really have many worries. I only pretty much have worries for Zuma. I think Zuma got injured on the Dagenham and Redbridge game. He's going to injure himself in pre-season. I think we all expect to get. I haven't seen this much of an injury-prone guy at West Ham since Wilshere, and it wasn't that long ago. But Wilshere and Carroll were probably worse than Zuma. But I worry for Zuma's knees. But I don't really have many concerns about the squad playing in America apart from jet lag. That's the only thing when it comes to obviously teams touring abroad. I expect a bit of jet lag because they're coming in and they're going to play straight away against Celta Vigo at home. So they're traveling all the way to America to go back to East London. As an Nkunku watcher, I will be hiding behind the couch. I remember that last season, Nkunku got injured in pre-season. Like, yeah, those pitches are not to be played with. No, we didn't really see Nkunku in the Premier League for 6 to 8 months or some shit. Yeah, that was ridiculous. I pray that Mohamed Kudus stays fit. I pray that Guilherme stays fit. I pray that Max Kilman stays fit. I don't really want anyone to get injured, but it's mainly the key players and the new signings that I'm worried about. Someone like a Mikel Antonio is typical. It would be typical of Mikel Antonio to get injured on this because he actually got injured for Jamaica in last January, where he pretty much got injured around that time on a bad pitch in a friendly. So I do worry a little bit, but I'm hoping that these pitches aren't that bad. I'm going to be doing a watch along for the Wolves and Palace games. I think I'm not going to say 100% because I might just watch it with someone, but I'll probably get the match pass. I'm probably gonna get the match passes if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, because I want to watch the preseason games anyway. But also, I can't do West Ham watch-alongs when they're in the season because I'm watching with people or I'm at the game. So I can't do West Ham watch-alongs within the season. Maybe one day. But for now, you're just going to get live match reactions. That's why all the match reactions that you're going to see from me, I'm not going to be pre-recorded anymore unless they're a late night game. It's just going to be live because it's better to interact with you guys and get your opinion and have your opinion in the comments below. But yeah, Wolves and Palace. It'll be good to see against Premier League opponents what these players do, um, especially the likes of Freddie Potts, Lewis Orford, Andy Irving. Let's see if Ollie Scholes gets some minutes. I doubt he will because of Emerson and Cresswell as the left back options, but I'd like to see Ollie Scholes get some minutes because he just come back from a big back injury. Obviously, you're going to see, unfortunately, the Czech boys get some minutes, unfortunately. But who else? Who else do I want to see get some minutes? I don't even know. But Callum Marshall as well. I'd like to see Callum Marshall get some minutes. See if obviously he didn't really play on his loan at West Brom last season, but we're hoping to get the right loan for him. I'm hoping the club that we actually loan to him actually play him because he's a real talented guy, can play across the front three, etc. Kadoa will probably get some minutes as well. George Urphy, of course, George Urphy, probably the most exciting young player that we have in the club at this current moment in time. And it does soften the blow a bit of losing Mubama that we have all these young players, the Kadoas, the Skulls, the Urphys, the Orfords. Those are probably the main ones. Like Casey, I've said this before. Caelan Casey's a guy who's very technically gifted on the ball and stuff. But as a centre back, that probably wants to get into first team level one day. He needs to bulk up. The guy is way too lean, in my opinion. But he will get there. He will get there. He has good intangibles as well. It's just whether he can gain that natural reading of the game and the willingness to think ahead of his attackers and man mark attackers out of the game and stuff like that. You know, the basics of defending. Big up George Kerr as well, another regular. But I'm looking forward to seeing the youngsters play. I'm looking forward to seeing, the couple new signings that we have play as well. I don't really care about West Fotheringham, no offense, but Max Kilman and Luis Guilherme for sure. I want to see more of them. I actually get to watch the next 3 preseason games. But also, going forward to the season, we're going to see what kind of roles that players are going to have in the squad. Like in a couple of weeks, you're probably going to see more youngsters go out on loan to teams. And we're going to see who's going to stay in the first team and who's not going to be in the first team. For example, guys, if it's like a George Urphy that's going to go on loan, for example, let's say George Urphy goes on a loan, don't get too angry because it just means that we have a plan for him and that the club do trust him. But right now, Premier League's not his level. Let's say that's for an example that he goes out on loan. I believe Lewis Orford will probably go on loan. It'll be our Orford or Potts if one of them was to make it. It won't be both. Like, we'll see what happens with Andy Irving as well. Andy Irving seems to have a good head on his shoulders. Seems to be on the guy who's pretty much going under the radar at this club. So we'll see what he can bring. And this is going to be the perfect opponents for him. Like, these are Premier League opponents. They won't be playing at Premier League intensity. I don't know how they've got on in their preseason. I don't know how many games Wolves and Palace have played. I'll do more research into that as we get closer to the match day. But at the same time, it's still gonna be quality players on the pitch. You're still gonna see internationals. You're gonna see them have a mixture of youngsters and senior players as well. So we will see what happens there as well. But overall, I think I've talked about everything. But I will get onto your questions if you guys want to ask me any more questions as well. Obviously, the first game will be against Wolves, which was Lopetegui's former club, Saturday the 27th of July in Jacksonville. Both matches will be available to watch worldwide on West Ham TV and westham.com. And the mobile app, which is a very terrible app. 2 options for supporters. Watch individual match passes available for $4.99. So pretty much 10 quid, or just watch both for 8 quid. I'm pretty sure you're going to choose to watch both for 8 quid. That's quite obvious, is it not? But yeah, I'll probably watch both. Obviously, we beat Dagenham Redbridge, drew with Ferencvaros. That is pretty much it when it comes to the pre-season games. I don't actually mind it. I don't actually care that much about that. It's just on top of the concession things, I can see why people are pissed and not wanting to pay for shit. Any West Ham transfer news? Pretty much I've gone through that throughout the whole video. Nothing new, really, apart from the fact that we're linked with Mazraoui or Bayern Munich right back, but that's also a flip on the whole Wan-Bissaka deal. That's the only new thing, and it seems that we're probably going to move either this week or next week with the deals and stuff. Like, right back and striker, pretty much. But nothing new, really. Nothing new. But I do imagine we're going to move for a right back and striker. I'll be very confused if we don't. Though we're interested in Summerville, but he's probably going to be too expensive. Like Leeds don't need to sell and stuff like that. But yeah, same stuff, really. Same stuff. Does make me laugh seeing people's lineups and so-called experts, let's say, on football that are putting Souček next to a James Ward-Prowse or Paquetá in their lineups in a 3-4-3, nevertheless. Alvarez as centre back. Jesus Christ. I know Alvarez has played centre back, but if you got Alvarez, Souček, Ward-Prowse, and Paquetá, you're not playing Ward-Prowse and Souček above Alvarez in midfield. Simple as that. Yeah, that's pretty much all the transfer news that I can see. Yeah. All right, that's done. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream there, guys. I'm gonna end the stream there. It's been fun. I will see if I can stream tomorrow if there's any other news as well. Obviously, I only stream when there's news. I'll try to be consistent as possible. I always want to be, but I always have to find a way to squeeze news out of what West Ham are giving us almost. But big up everyone. Keep an eye out on the community page if you want any updates on streams and stuff as well. But also, we're nearly on 400 subscribers, so if you can subscribe and you are new, that would be great. Or share it to someone that isn't subscribed already. We're nearly on 400. And we're trying to hit 500 before the end of the year, as it says at the bottom. But listen, big up, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.